So today actually in the pipeline class we will discuss about some of the components like instruction pipeline, a very brief. Okay, then pipeline hazard, and then we will discuss about the risk. Okay, these three. So if you, I don't know whether I am not remembering that whether I have discussed with the instruction pipeline with you all already or in the second batch I have discussed. But still I will just make a short discussion of the instruction pipeline, that if you are trying to execute any instruction through your system and you are using one pipeline system, so what are the phase you can use or what are the phases can be used by this instruction pipeline, right? So all those pages are just like fetch instruction, then decode instruction, then calculate effective address, then fetch operand, then execute instruction, and lastly it is the what I can say execute instruction after then store the result. So initially we discussed with all these 6 steps, right? Now what we discussed that in sometimes you can write like fetch instruction separately with fi, then decode instruction and calculate effective address, these two at a same phase like DA, then fetch operand and execute instruction as FO, sorry, fetch operand as FO and execute instruction and store result as EX. Right. So now if you just implement it into a pipeline system, say your clock pulses are given as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and your steps will be you have started just like fetch instruction, decode instruction, calculate effective address, fetch operand, execute. Next one again fetch instruction, decode effective address, fetch operand, execute. Right. So all these things you can just continue. Right. Now the problem is what kind of actually hazard from the point of that when this hazard can be happened, right? Or when some conflict, some data dependency, some resource dependency can become across in our system. So in that case, we just discussed with this example, say you are executing one instruction, like here the first instruction is going on, then second instruction is going on, then one for loop, some condition, then here this for loop will be executed, and then your next instruction. So this is one example. Okay, so from here you have started, you have executed this instruction, done, no problem. You have executed this instruction, no problem. Now here, when this for loop has been started, right? So that means you will start here fetch instruction. Now decode instruction and calculate effective address, fetch operand, execute. If you consider about this instruction 4, how it will be continued? It will be started here, true, no problem, fetch instruction. But at the same time, it will found that after decoding of the previous instruction, it will also found that one what I can say loop is being going on, right? So that means the data which is required for this instruction, that is already being used by the previous loop, right? So it has to be stopped for some time. Unless and until the execution can be completed, it will be stopped. So once the execution of the previous instruction will be completed, then only it can start its execution. So it was the problem of, it was a type of hazard, right? So this kind of hazard, okay, one R is there. It was a type of hazard. So that means some types of hazard you will find like structural hazard, when some structural dependency can be there, resource hazard, data hazard. So different type of hazards will be there. Sometimes you may get some information from some sources that data dependency, resource dependency, structural dependency. So anything can be utilized in different books. That is not a problem. Just think that what is being happened, that you are using one pipeline system and you observe, suddenly your system observed that what the operand will be used by the next instruction, that is already under use. Just like you have opened one Excel file, or you have opened one any kind of Word file or PPT file, and at the same time you are trying to delete this file. So what the information we will get, that your file is currently in use, right? So kind of same thing, that what the file you are currently in use, you cannot use it in the next cycle unless and until the execution has been completed. So this was the concept of hazard initially what we started on the last day. So from here actually the concept of risk architecture or risk pipeline is come. Okay, so in the risk pipeline structure, we will, when we will start, we will first say that what is this risks abbreviated form actually. It is actually reduced instruction set computer. Okay. So that means in this case, we will reduce our instruction steps one more. How? Now in this risk architecture, we will consider only 3 steps: instructions, arithmetic or ALU operation. Last one is execution. So that means this is for fetch part. This is for your deciding factor, that whether you are performing any arithmetic operation or logical operation or whatever may be. So that is why you can give it name as ALU operation at a single term, and the last one is execute instruction. Okay, now we will take some example and we will check that how this hazard can be affected, or how the hazard can be managed in this through this risk architecture, right? So first let us consider this example, like 4 instruction we can consider. What kind of 4 instructions? Say load, right, followed by R1 memory address 1. Okay, then again load R2 memory address 2. Okay, then say this is your second instruction, this is your third instruction, add, and the final one will be store. So where you will store? You will store in memory address 3. Say you are trying to execute all these 4 instructions in a pipeline system, right? How many instructions is there? 4 instructions. So now if you just try to write it using these 3 steps, like fetch instruction, ALU operation and execute instruction, then how you can manage them? So that should be checked, right? So whether I'm still connected or I'm not connected. Yes, I'm connected. Okay. So then you will get this thing that when we will just start with this risk structure. So first, what we should do? What I should take? First, I should take the clock pulse, right? So clock pulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you are writing the each and every instructions. So first instruction was the first load. So just no need to write it here for your own understanding. So load R1. So what we are doing? Instruction fetch, ALU operation, execution. Second load R2, instruction fetch, arithmetic operation, execution. Now in the third, when you will do the add part, look in this case. First thing you are doing that from certain memory address location, you are storing or you are loading one value into register R1, right? Done, no problem. From a separate address location, you are loading the value into R2. Done. Two separate register, two separate memory location. So no interdependency, right? Now when you are going to perform this add statement, here you are performing the addition result between R1 and R2 and you are storing it into R3. So that means unless and until your R1 and R2 is completely loaded with the values which are coming from memory address 1 and memory address 2 respectively, you cannot start this operation, right? Just like whenever you will be in university, then only you can go for physical mode of class. So from home, the address 1, address 2 are your home address, register 1, register 2 are your university address. So from home you are transferring yourself to university and then you are going to, what I can say, you are going to class in physical mode. So unless and until you can be completely transferred, you cannot start it. If you are staying as a hostel student, just like this, okay. Now test scholar can say that yes, we can go regular and we can attend same thing, but you have to come again, right? So the same thing from memory from your home, you have to come in your university and then you can start physical mode of class. So that means this R1 plus R2 can be added and it can be stored in R3, but for this we have to need this thing ready. Now check IAE. So that means after third clock pulse, you can claim that R1 is ready, right? Now load R2. So that means after fourth clock pulse, you can claim that R2 is ready. I am writing it here, so don't take this thing in this manner that I have mark it in fifth clock pulse. Okay, so let me write in some other way. So after third clock pulse, you can claim is your R1 is ready, R1 is loaded. After fourth clock pulse, you can say that your R2 is ready. Now, if you start this statement just right after this second statement, how you can write it? Fetch instruction, no problem. But ALU operation will be possible on the same clock pulse because in the fourth clock pulse, your R1 is okay, no problem. But your R2 has not been completely loaded. It is being executed, right? So that means it is under process. So you have to wait for one step. Unless and until your R2 is completely loaded with the data, you cannot start this arithmetic operation. So that means in this case, there will be one conflict, right? In these two cases. Now, previously what we are writing? We were simply writing that we were simply giving it one dash, just like it. And we were writing it A, we were writing it E. Previously, when we were dealing with the pipeline hazard. Now think how you will inform your system about this dash. We are writing, so it is quite easy that we can write anything and we can show. But how this thing can be implemented in the system? It can be confusing. In that case, it will be done like a way that add R3. So I dash AE, that means how many delay signal you are actually passing or how many wait signal you are actually passing, only one, right? Then your on fifth, you will come on fifth clock pulse. So your instruction, your execution will be ready. You can use easily this R2 register, no problem. In that case, you will pass one separate instruction to the system. And what is this instruction? You will pass one no operation signal or delay signal, whatever you will want, you can write, no problem. You can pass one NOP signal or one delay signal in this pulse. Thus, it will be acted like this. So as this NOP is actually nothing, you are not doing anything. You are saying your system that you don't need to do anything. You just wait for one clock pulse, right? So that means it is also one instruction fetched, ALU operation executed. If you now pass this add statement, so here it will be I statement. I means only fetch instruction. Your ALU operation is not doing anything till now. Now you can start your ALU operation. So now see, you are in fifth pulse and on fourth pulse your R2 is also ready. So easily you can execute this ALU operation here, right? No conflict will be there. So that means what you actually doing? You are actually delaying the load instruction, right? You are actually delaying the instruction, thus the register R2 completely being loaded. In the next one, you can also store properly, no problem. Right? Now you can say, will not it be any conflict? Because it was being executed and you are trying to again using this arithmetic operation. This question also can be raised by you. Answer is no, because you can see on the last instruction it is only store, so no addition or no any logical operation is being done, right? So that is why this will not be conflicted, because it is for ALU operation. So it will just check whenever any ALU operation is required or not. It will identify that no ALU operation is required, it will go to the next clock cycle, no problem, right? So that is why it will be not create any conflict, right? So as you are delaying the load instruction, that is why this type of example is being termed as delayed load. Okay. So in exam, if exam point of view you can think, then obviously common question come in mind that what type of question can be given from here. Is it theoretical question? Is it mathematical question, or what it be actually? So when it was offline exam, it was quite easy to us. We just write one sentence that explain delayed load, and we gave this type of instructions. Now we gave the question like explain delayed load with reference to this instructions. So simply you will write all these 4-5 steps and you will take this. Okay. So kindly give me 2 minutes. Okay, so sorry about the gap. So we were discussing about this delayed load, right? And what we discussed that in this particular example, you saw that we are just delaying your load to register in one step. That is why it was a delayed load. And then we discussed that what type of question can be given from this type of topic. So in this part, I can say that some type of statements will be given, say for this type of instructions. These 4 instructions has been given, and we will start with 1 or 2 example, and then it will be asked to you all that how many delay or how many NOP operation is required to adjust this whole pipeline execution. Okay, so this type of statement can be given. Or we can give you the simple thing, just like this statement has been given and this clock pulse along with this execution also has been given and no delay has been introduced. We have written all the steps back to back and we have asked you that whether or is any delay is required. What is your view, or where should be delays required? Now answer will be only yes no kind of thing, or after this statement or this statement different type of what I can say different type of options will be given and you need to choose any one of them. This type of thing also can be done. Okay, so this kind of question can be given in this from this topic. So it was delayed load. Now another thing is there in this topic, that is delayed branch, right? So think about that right now. What the example we were dealing, it was related to some register, right? You were first storing some data from memory address to register, then you were performing an addition operation where the addition result also need to be stored into another register. So you are using a register basically, right? And previously also the memory address was different. Now what should be there if you are using any branch instruction and that branch instruction is being executed from some memory address and you need to access this address again for the next instruction. So that is another example. So again I will write it. Okay, so just check that this example has been discussed, and now if I write this type of thing like load from memory to R1, say this instruction, load from memory to R1. I am writing some instructions. Okay, this is first instruction. This is second instruction. It is increment R2. So here I have not specified. You can specify memory address 1 to R1, increment R2, then add R3 to R4. Then subtract R5 from R6. Then branch to address X. And then next instruction in X. So say all these steps has been given. Okay. So now if I ask you that you have to again execute these statements through a pipeline, then what you will do? Just before going to this example, you can see, okay, one more point, these X are equal, okay, this is not different. Actually, I have written one small x and one capital X. You may face some difficulties. Yes. So this is R1 register, R2 separate register, add R3 to R4. That means it will be just like R4 will be hold the result of R3 plus R4. So separate register again. Then subtract R5 from R6. So that means it will be just like R5 will hold R5 minus R6. Right? Again separate register. Then next one is branch to address X. So you have just asked to go to the branch of address X. So X is also separate. So there is no data dependency till now. Now in this case you have been provided the same address. Next instruction in address X. So what should be the problem here? So that thing we should check. So let's write first. So your clock pulse 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we will take the instructions like the first one was one load. You can easily load, no problem. I, A, E. Second one again increment, right? So increment means separate instructions were incremented. It was load R1 and incrementing R2. So no interdependency. You can write simply I, A, E. Then third one is add R3, R4. So that means again separate register. So you can write here add, you can write I, A, E. No problem. Then next one also subtract and it was R5, R6. That means no problem again I, A, E. Next one is branch to X, right? Yes, branch to X. So you can write branch X. No problem I, A, E. Now check the next instruction to X. That means it has been written next instruction from X. So now if you write here the instruction phase, what would be the problem? Your branch instruction is being executed. So that means unless and until this execution is actually done, you cannot use the same address location for any other task. Just like you are the owner of an house and you have given your home, one of your home to a tenant. So tenant is actually using your house by paying you rent every month. So at the same time, you cannot give the same room to other tenant, right? Because the first tenant is already paying you rent. So that means the same location you cannot use until and unless the execution is over. So how you can relate it? You cannot use or you cannot give the same room by rent to another tenant unless and until the existing tenant has left your house. That means the execution has not been over. So you have to wait, right, for this execution phase. So that means here you cannot write this I. Here you cannot write this E or A, whatever may be, you have to wait. So now we have to check how many time we have to wait, right? So say what type of instruction we should pass now? We should pass now the NOP again or the delay signal again, right? So again we can write no operation. So I, A, E, no problem. Seventh, again NOP, I, A, E. And then on 8th, now you can check your branch was executed here. So on 7th clock pulse, your branch instruction execution was scheduled. Now you have given one NOP, you are in 8th phase, right? You have given another NOP, you are starting from 7th, you are completing in 9th. So if you now observe that what the clock pulses are being used now, so now you can start from this clock pulse 8th and your branch was completed on 7th. So that means from here you can start the next instruction. That means here you can write I, A followed by E. Okay. So that is why you are actually delaying the branch here with two NOP signals. So in that case, you will give the term as delayed branch, right? So as a whole, these are risk pipelines application. Okay, so I have uploaded lots of numerical problems in the LMS already. So I will request you all that please go through with these numerical problems and start practicing. Okay, normal pipeline problem has been uploaded. Parallelly, risk pipeline problem also has been uploaded. Average 5-6 questions are there in every sheet. Okay, and you can practice there for this purpose. Just like I can show you that if you go with this section, you will see that from here all these are practice set. So these are practice set of memory. These are practice set of pipeline. Okay, and here these are practice set of risk pipeline, this one, and here also some more problem set has been uploaded. So ample amount of problem set now is there. So for in-term exam, you have already idea that most of the numerical problems are being given in the exam, right? So for in-term exam, you can prepare for them and you can practice with these numerical problems.